Do you believe in the gift of struggle, or do you resent hardship? My next guest was living a pretty contented life in the former Soviet Union when her parents, knowing the limited opportunities for the future, and especially for Jews, fled to the United States. She was 17 and her whole world was turned upside down. They had to leave everything behind, even photos, and no one back home was allowed to speak to them because they were considered an enemy of the state. Fast forward to today, she has a master's degree in higher education, is a certified coach in accelerated learning techniques, a successful author, entrepreneur, and member of the Forbes Coaches Council, an invitation-only community for executive and career coaches. And now all of this looks really great in a LinkedIn profile, but what is the reality of the in-between moments? Today, she's going to share the lessons that she learned through her immigration experience and how struggle became her unlikely ally. Recovering slave to emotions, intuitive teacher, and lifelong learner, Masha Malka. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you so much for having me. Fantastic intro.
Well,
I couldn't have put it better.
Well, the former Soviet Union looked pretty bleak in the late 80s, but 17-year-old you was pretty comfortable there. What was it like adjusting to American life in Miami, of all places?
Yes, extremely difficult. I assume, I don't know if you can or cannot imagine the difference in mindset and lifestyle. It's just, in general, was like, completely different poles. So, yes, the adjustment was hard, and for reasons that might be strange to understand. Life in the Soviet Union was not bleak for those people who live there because that's all we knew. For us, that was life, and it had its pluses, especially for children. Growing up in the Soviet Union was quite nice because the education was free. We could do all kinds of after-school activities, and I always loved learning, and that gave me an opportunity to try all kinds of activities, from dancing to singing to artwork and drama and like anything you can imagine. I finished music school as well, so I loved to learn, and I did a lot of that when I was there, so that was fantastic. Immigrating unexpectedly, and as you mentioned, not by choice, because I was pretty happy there. I had lots of friends. I was very well adjusted. I was living a good life, but then you're absolutely right. My parents understood much better the limitation of living in the Soviet Union, and they wanted a better life for me and my brother. And so we picked up, left everything, and moved there. Unfortunately, none of us spoke English, and because we had to leave all our material possessions, money, jewelry, everything really, we had to start from nothing. And the difficulty wasn't even in that. The difficulty was that, again, going back to the mindset, the way people see the world, the way people interpret the world, or the belief system, everything was so different that it was hard. It was hard to make friends anyway because I didn't speak the language. But on top of it, I couldn't quite understand where they were coming from or what it was all about. So yes, it was quite an adjustment. And in the process, I lost my sense of identity. I lost my sense of purpose. I couldn't really understand how to fit in and what I should be doing and how I can become in any way successful or change the world in the process, which was, I guess, my ideal. I wanted to do something different. I think we all have this deep desire to be valuable, to be useful, to make a difference, and I was just completely lost. But you know how everything happens to us for a very good reason, and if we're experiencing something, it's because we need that experience in order for us to actually fulfill our purpose. And finding my purpose was my purpose to begin with. And now part of that purpose is actually helping other people to rediscover their passion, their purpose. I call it their discover their inner genius, the inborn genius, because I believe we're all born with that genius, with that unique talent, unique gifts that we're here to give to this world, and all that we get to experience, especially in the childhood. However difficult it might be for some people, those experiences are needed to fulfill that purpose. If we look at it that way, it is then much easier to use it as a stepping stone rather than feeling victimized.
Do you remember the moment where you went from disgruntled teen to, okay, I'm going to find my purpose and this is my life and I'm going to lean into the situation and grow from here? Was it a certain moment that you recall?
In a way, I always loved to learn, as I mentioned, and I was actually a good student. So I thought to myself, if I take all kinds of subjects, I might discover what it is that my passion is. It didn't really work, and I had so many credits. In 1996, so almost 10 years after I arrived to the United States of America, I was really fortunate to get a ticket to attend Anthony Robbins' seminar that he put together, and he had guest speakers. So he was there, Brian Tracy was there, Pat Riley. He was a well-known coach in Florida. George Bush Sr., those are the people I actually remember. I think there were others, but those are the ones that really made a huge impact on me. And I was so hungry for what they were saying. You know, all this information was quite new to me, and I really was just taking it all in. And afterwards, I bought Brian Tracy's programs, actually. One was called Psychology of Achievement, and one was called Psychology of Sales. Sales, I'm not sure why. I think because I believe that we're all actually selling something at some point, and it was a good skill to have. But Psychology of Achievement was definitely a turning point for me. And, you know, I believe that people say that knowledge is power. I would kind of disagree, because it's not knowledge that is power. It is applying the knowledge, taking action on that knowledge that's powerful. And when I learn until this day, and I'm always learning something, I'm always attending some kind of courses and upgrading my I enjoy it. But I learned what it's called actively. You know, I don't just underline things, because you underline things, you're still going to forget it. I have like a journal where for each book that I read or each program that I do, I write out everything that touches me at that moment, that like an aha moment or that I think is important, and I write it all out, and then I go and read it over a few times until it becomes a part of me, and then of course I apply it as much as I can. So with Psychology of Achievement, I did the same thing. I would listen. It was the tapes at the time. I would listen to the tape. I would do all the activities, and I would apply and think about it and analyze it and internalize it. And part of that program was there were two things that were turning points for me. One, I found out that I was actually in charge of my destiny, that I'm the one who is responsible, and I'm the one who can either make it happen or not, regardless of my past, regardless where I come from, what I have or don't have. It's really up to me, and I made the decision that I will create the life that I want to create for myself. I still write visions. I love writing, like, you know, projecting, creating my future. And the second thing was very significant at the time for me, is about guilt. Because at that time, I don't know if I was raised that way or the culture I came from, but feeling guilty was such a major part of my life, and I was just feeling guilty for everything. If it was raining outside, I would, you know, somehow feel guilty about it. So, so I, you know, learning that not to let people make me feel guilty. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was really big thing for me to release that emotion of guilt, because whatever emotion we feel would just create more situation that bring that emotion to the surface. And that was great. So yeah, that was I was 27 when that happened.
So what I'm hearing you say is, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to get from kind of that victim mentality of woe is me, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this situation, to thriving and growing, you leaned into what you were good at, which happened to be learning itself, and then you gathered resources, which happened to be books on personal growth coaches, and then you actively journaled, and then you recognized guilt as a destructive force. Is that correct?
Perfectly summarized. Just I wanted to say something about first of all journaling. There was a research done at some point where they found out that people who we consider to be geniuses across spectrum, from composers to scientists to business people, people that we consider, yes, to be geniuses and very successful, they all kept journals. And then the question was posed like this: did they keep journals because they were geniuses? Or did they become geniuses because they kept a journal? There is no answer to that because they don't know. But the point is, when you keep a journal, when you are able to reflect on your thoughts, on your emotions, on this, and you do it consistently, it really does develop your genius. It makes you smarter. It makes dealing with life a lot easier. So I have a feeling most of your listeners actually do keep a journal, because people who would be listening to this show would be kind of self-aware and probably keep a journal. But if you don't, I highly recommend it. And you can start with the gratitude journal. That's probably the easiest, the most effective way to do a journal, where you basically every day write everything you're grateful for, from being able to get up in the morning because you're not paralyzed, or actually waking up alive in the first place, because 2 million people do not wake up alive every single day. And to then, small and big things. It will shift your focus and very, very much transform your life.
I recently read old journals that I wrote when I was a teenager, and I saw so many patterns that, good on me for writing in the journal. But had I only read the dang things a little sooner, I probably could have recognized patterns of struggle, which I think that's one of the gifts of struggle, is knowing yourself. And certainly journaling is a part of that. I'm curious, what gifts do you feel struggle has given to you over the years?
Oh, every gift. I mean, we all strive to be happy or to feel good on a regular basis. I don't believe it's possible to feel happy all the time. I think it's in a way fleeting emotion. But at the end of the day, if somebody has a goal and you ask them, why do you want it? From a simple thing, I want a car. Why do you want a car? Well, because it takes me from A to that. Why do you want that? Well, because I need to go to work. Why do you go to, and you just keep asking why. At the end you will get, because I want to be happy. Because that's the bottom line in a way. Either happy or some other feel-good emotion that people associate with happiness, such as fulfillment or contentment, but some kind of an underlying emotion. The end result is always an emotion. And I'm going to deviate just for 1 second, because I think it's important. When you set goals, when people set goals, it's very important to focus on the end emotion, because at the end it is an emotion that you want to manifest. It's not about getting a raise or finding the career that you love, or getting accepted into some kind of a program, or getting married, or having a child. It's not that. Those are the means to you experiencing a certain emotion. And when you actually give the focus to emotion and allow the universe to give you maybe it's a different way to manifest that emotion, you will be a lot less frustrated, I suppose, and a lot less stressed, because sometimes what we think is the way for us to achieve something is not necessarily the way. So you want to understand the end result, which is always an emotion, and then you want to let go and just allow the universe or God, what the higher power that you believe in, or your higher self, if you don't believe in anything outside of you, to help you really manifest it, materialize, give you the opportunities, the people, everything that you need for that to become part of your experience. So yeah, I deviated. Going back, where was I? Struggles.
We were talking
Yes.
about gift of struggle.
Yes, the gift of struggles. Yes. So what I'm saying is, yes, even though we have this goal to be happy all the time, it's not necessarily good to be because if we're happy all the time, we're actually in our comfort zone. When we're in our comfort zone, there is no change. Change only happens when we step out of the comfort zone. Stepping out of the comfort zone is always fearful, could be painful, difficult. Why? Because if it's out of comfort zone, it's usually the unknown. The unknown always feels kind of scary because we're not sure how we would control it. Most people like to be in control, which is why we like to remain in our comfort zone, even though we know very often it doesn't serve us. But the known, however painful it might be, sometimes is less scary than the unknown. Mm-hmm. So the only way for change to happen is for us to step out of that comfort zone. Not too far, because then we'll just, go straight back in. But I would say if your current situation 100% is your comfort zone, I would say 10% at a time. You go 10% out, it's your new comfort zone. It's your new 100%. Then you go to 10% out, that becomes your new comfort zone. So like this, small steps will take you a lot further than trying to do a giant leap. So getting out of that comfort zone, and if you don't do it, life usually kicks you in the butt and makes you do it, which is when the struggles happen. It's because you need, there's something that needs to change, something that, it means you are ready, always, by the way. If you get into a struggle situation, it means you are ready to grow, to expand, and to become a better version of yourself. And this, if you understand this, then you know that you have the support system, you have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have everything you need, even if it might not seem that way at the moment, but it would not happen to you otherwise. You have everything you need to be able not only to get over the struggle, but when they say what doesn't break you makes you stronger, it's very true. It doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you more resilient, it makes you more confident, it makes you more compassionate, because when you go through a painful experience, you become much more compassionate to other people that go through a painful experience. So every struggle is most definitely a gift. And in my life, I've lived quite a long life by now, I think, and I have come across quite very intense situation in my life where I had to face my biggest fears. I would often put myself in those situations on purpose because I understand the value of them. Sometimes I would regret it after, but not at the end. At the end, I'm always happy. In the midst of it, it could be like, oh my God, why am I doing this to myself again? But at the end, I call it building my fearless muscle.
Oh, I like that.
Like you train in a gym to train your physical muscles. It's the same. Every time you face your fear, you become more confident, you become more resilient, and that muscle becomes stronger and becomes easier and easier and easier. And there is not a successful person on this planet that has not learned to face fears on a regular basis.
I agree. And I love that you brought up that you purposely put yourself in those situations, because that was actually a question that I had for you. Is I feel like there are perhaps two categories of listeners. And one category is the listener that has a relatively comfortable life, but they want to grow. They want to become, as you said, more resilient. I love that, by the way. But the question for that group is, how do they do that? Which, correct me if I'm wrong, you might be answering it by purposefully putting yourself in that situation. So, and then the second group, which I would also love for you to speak to as we wrap up, this time has gone by so fast, is the people that are in the middle of struggle, and maybe it's due to the pandemic, and maybe there's no physical evidence of struggle within their daily lives, but they have that emotional impact, emotional struggle within. So can you give advice to each of those groups of people on what you think they can do to be more resilient and not just survive the struggle, but to come out a better person?
Sure, for sure. I'll start with the second group. If you're going through a difficult situation and struggling in some way, and you mentioned interestingly that maybe on the surface, people don't even realize that someone is struggling. We're taught, that weakness is wrong, that weakness is bad, and we put this facade, and we want to put a brave face to the world, even though inside there is this whole big struggle going on. Number one, accept that it's okay. There's those of you who know tapping technique. I love the opening statement of tapping techniques. Even though I'm feeling angry or lonely or upset or whatever emotion that you experience right now, I unconditionally love, accept, and forgive myself. Okay, because we believe that we have to be perfect. We have to be like this perfect human beings all the time, and we're not. We're human beings by definition are human beings because we're not perfect, because we're supposed to experience all these emotions and different range and struggle and make mistakes. That's how we learn, that's how we grow. So number one is you accept that it's perfectly okay that things are not working out the way you made up in your mind they should be. We make the stories do not work out, we get really disappointed with ourselves, life, and all people around us. So number one is it's okay. It's happening because probably you need to adjust your journey a little bit. You need to make some kind of little changes. Most important is do not alienate yourself. Do not feel that you're alone, because you're not alone. Always ask for, reach out to people, ask for support, ask for help, either around people that are around you or professionals. But I always, that's one thing that definitely helped me. I had a great support system, friends, therapists. I did reach out and I did speak about it, and it definitely makes a big difference. I like I said, I read books, I listen to things. There's so much information out there. You go on YouTube, you can just meditate, gratitude journal, shift your focus from your struggles, shift your focus to what is working right now for you and where you want to be, and put yourself in that mindset. Act as if really works. You write your vision and you focus on that life that you want, not ignoring your current situation, but just understanding, yes, I'm going through the motion of it, it's happening, but it's coming to an end and things are just going to work out. And the first group, if you're not going to come out of your comfort zone, even though you should change something, life will eventually put you in a situation, but it will be a lot harder. Usually, if you don't do it yourself, it still happens at some point, but it hits you stronger, like harder, because you may be less prepared or something. Now you can prepare and then make the shift.
And how do you suggest that they prepare? Like, is there practical things that they can do? Should they, look for an outdoor survival course up in a mountain? Or
you mentioned people are different. I'm sure there's a lot more than two groups of people. There's all kinds of different things work for different people. For example, I am actually putting together, I don't know if I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I'm putting together a free course called 7 Days to Your New Life. And basically, I'll be focusing on the art of manifesting, because it's a science, in fact. It's not even some kind of, I don't know.
Woo-woo.
Yes, exactly. There's a science behind manifesting, in the same way that the law of gravity works and the apple falls, to the ground. The way we create our experience, it's very specific. And once people understand how and why they create everything that happens to them, and that they actually do create it consciously or unconsciously, over 90% unconsciously, based on the program that we're running. But once you understand why you're doing it, how you're doing it, how it all works, and then you put, you understand how to actually create something different, start creating something different for yourself, then change happens without, without that much struggle, because you know how it works.
So share, that's a perfect segue, Masha. Let's share the online course, how to find it, and where people can find you on social media.
So I'm actually launching this course. I call it a marathon course because it's only 7 days, but I guarantee it will be life-changing, because I just, my goal is to give as much as possible for people to really reduce or eliminate struggle, and be happy at least 80% of the time, feel these good emotions, and leave the other 20%, for growth and development. But it will be packed with very valuable information on how manifestation works and what to do about it, and putting a plan together. I'm launching it at the end of August, so very, very now, very much now. And the best way to find me is to connect to me on one of the social medias right now, because that's where I will be posting all the information as to how to sign up for it. And so I suppose there will be links to my Instagram.
Yeah, but go ahead and
Facebook,
share go ahead and share for those who don't look at the notes and the links. Are you just Masha Malka on Instagram, or?
I am Masha Malka everywhere.
Okay.
Fortunately, there are no other Masha Malkas as far as I know.
I'm the only Meredith Hackworth. So see, we were like meant to be amigos.
That's it, absolutely. Yeah, Masha Malka. Yes, if you put it, even if you put it on Google, you'll be able to find all kinds of links. And I would absolutely love to be connected anyway on social media, because I do live events there. I share articles and quotes, so it's nice. Whether you do the program or not, it'll just be really nice to be connected.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for sharing today, sharing your story and sharing the insight into struggle and giving that really amazing advice. I'm so glad that you came on the show. Great job.
I am super grateful to you for having me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. That's a wrap. Great job. Woo. Hey, you're still here. That's awesome. I hope to see you next week too. I talk with the most interesting people that you've probably never heard of. Most of them are paradoxical and bring an opportunity for you to grow as a person. So if you like bright, meaningful entertainment, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.